Hello everybody, welcome into another lesson. So today we are going to talk about the distance formula. So the distance formula is if you're given two coordinates on the coordinate plane, you can find the distance between them. You take the square root of the second x coordinate minus the first x coordinate to the second power, then you add it to the second y coordinate minus the first y coordinate to the second power. Take the square root of all of that. So let's get started with our first example here. Let's say we're given the points -6, 0, and then we have also 4, 0. So -6, 0, and 4, 0. We want to find the distance between those 2 points. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take the square root of your second x coordinate, which would be 4, minus your first x coordinate, which would be -6, so that would actually turn into +6, plus you'll take your second y coordinate, which is 0, minus your first y coordinate, which is also 0, raise that to the second power, take the square root of all of that. Well, we don't have to worry about the 0 minus 0 to the second power, that's 0. We can forget about that. So all we have to do now is figure out 4 plus 6 to the second power, that's 10 to the second power, and the square root of 10 to the second power, that's just going to be 10. So the distance between the 2 points is 10 units. That's what you would have. Between -6, 0 and 4, 0, your distance is going to be 10 units. Alright, I got more. This time we have the point 0, -9, and then we have the point 0, 7. So we're being tasked with finding the distance between the points 0, -9, and 0, 7. So let's go ahead and set up our distance formula again. Big square root here, so let's see, x2 would be 0, minus x1, which is also 0, raise that to the second power, plus you'll take your second y coordinate of 7, minus your first y coordinate of -9, that would actually turn into +9 to the second power. Well, 0 minus 0 to the second, we don't have to worry about that. We know that's 0. But 7 plus 9, that's 16, so you'd have 16 to the second power. Square root of 16 to the second power is simply 16. So the distance between 0, -9 and 0, 7 is going to be 16 units. Alright, let's spice it up a little bit here. This time we have the points 3, 4, and 9, 7. So we have to find the distance between the points 3, 4, and 9, 7. So here's what we're going to do. Set up our distance formula again. So x2 is going to be 9. We'll take 9, then minus x1, which is 3. So you'll have 9 minus 3 to the second power. Plus, then you'll have y2, which is 7, minus your y1, which is 4. All that to the second power. So now we'll just simply do the math here, do the order of operations. 9 minus 3, that's 6. So you would have 6 to the second power plus 7 minus 4. That's going to be 3 to the second power. So now we have the square root of 6 to the second power plus 3 to the second power. which 6 to the second power is going to be 36, plus 3 to the second power, that's 9. Well, 36 plus 9, that equals the square root of 45. But the square root of 45 does break down further. It breaks down into the square root of 9 times 5. So let's do that. Square root of 9 times the square root of 5, which the square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 5 we can't reduce any further. So your answer is the distance is going to be 3 times the square root of 5 units between 3, 4, and 9, 7. You get 3 times the square root of 5 units. And if you want to do the decimals and figure out almost approximately how far that is, you're more than welcome to, but we're just going to express it in the square roots. All right. This time we have the points 10, 3, and then we have negative 4, 9. So we have to find the distance between the points 10, 3 and negative 4, 9. So we'll set up our distance formula here. That's going to be equal to the square roots of this big thing here. So x2 is negative 4 minus x1, which is 10. Raise that to the second power, plus your y2, which is 9, minus your y1, which is 3. Raise that to the second power. So now we just deal with the parentheses inside of our square root. Negative 4 minus 10, that's negative 14. That'll be raised to the second power, plus you got 9 minus 3, that's 6 to the second power, which negative 14 to the second power, I'm pretty sure that's 196. So let's see. I was right, 196. And then 6 to the second is 36. Well, let's see. Now I just simply need to add these up. So 196 plus 36, that would be the square root of 232. Which, let's see how much further that's going to reduce, because I know we don't have to leave it as the square root of 232. Alright, it does divide into 4 and 58. So that'll become the square root of 4 times the square root of 58. Which 58 doesn't reduce any further, but 4 does. You'll end up getting 2 times the square root of 58 for your distance. So the distance between 10, 3 and negative 4, 9 is 2 times the square root of 58. Alright, let's see. Distance between negative 5, negative 3. So we have negative 5, negative 3, and then we have negative 9, negative 6. So now we got to find the distance between -5, -3, and -9, -6. So we'll set up our distance formula here. Take the square root of this whole mess. So the x2, that's going to be -9 minus -5. That would actually turn into +5 raised to the second power. Plus then we have y2, which is -6 minus -3, which would actually be +3. That'll be raised to the second power. So then we'll just deal with the parentheses inside of the square root. -5 plus -9 plus 5, that's -4 to the second power. Plus then we have -6 plus 3 to the second power. That's going to end up being -3 to the second power. Which -4 to the second power, that's going to be 16. Plus -3 to the second power, that's going to be 9. Which 16 plus 9, that's 25. Which a square root of 25 is 5. So the distance between -5, -3, and -9, -6 is 5. All right, last one here. We have 7, -2, and then we have 4, -6. So let's take the distance between 7, -2 and 4, -6. So set up our distance formula here. Distance would equal the square root of this whole mess. So let's see, x2 is 4 minus x1, which is 7. So we'll have 4 minus 7 to the second power plus your y2 is -6 minus y1. Well, minus -2 turns into +2. So that's what you have here. Now let's deal with the parentheses inside the square root. 4 minus -7, that's -3 to the second power. Plus then you have -6 plus 2. That would be -4 to the second power. Which means -3 to the second power, that's going to be 9. Plus -4 to the second power, that's 16. 9 plus 16 equals 25, which then square root of 25 is just 5. So the distance between 7, -2 and 4, -6 is going to equal 5. And that would be the solution. So that's it for finding the distance between 2 points. Next lesson, we're going to do the midpoint formula, where you can actually find the midpoint between 2 points. So I hope everyone has a good day. Take care.